But anyway, I'm happy to be here. Welcome to Astrolyszics. Um, there's a solar eclipse that just happened earlier today. Um, and it's a solar eclipse in Leo when they have a lot going on astrologically. I was even trying to catch up with everything of just like what are all the transits and all that stuff. My camera's a little bit wobbly today, so I am going to do my best to keep it grounded. Let me put a deck on the stand. Hold on. So, shout out to almost having 100 people following. And let's get this party started. So, I never use this deck. This is the Silver Era Tarot. I randomly just like bought a few like vintage decks. Hold on, let me turn my, I can't hear myself over my fan, so. Okay. Wow, what a difference. Okay. So we're gonna see what the Silver Era Tarot has for us. But overall, there is a lot of energy in Leo. So wherever it's hitting your chart, you might be feeling exhausted and undoing. Um, I read something about like humility, or you might be feeling like $1,000. It really is depending on where you're at in your life. Astrolyszics is a spiritual shop. It sometimes turns into the practitioner's practitioner situation. I do astrology, tarot, as we're doing here, and I have crystals in the shop. I have crystals, I have incense, and some like smaller quantity things for now. But yeah, welcome. I am preparing this pick a card to see what this solar eclipse, new moon, so many like major beginnings, major endings. And this first card, people might feel exhausted as this solar eclipse is happening. You may need more rest. You may need time to sit with yourself. You may need time alone. Take your time to kind of like regenerate yourself. There is a lot going on in the sky. And so let's have this pick a card. So we have this bracelet. I didn't know if I wanted to use any of these decks, so that's why they're there. But okay, so we have an ocean jasper bracelet, faceted bracelet, a dragon's blood. Wait, African bloodstone. Sorry. And they look so similar. Unikite. Okay. So there we have. You choose. And let us begin. I've never used this deck since I got it. Very curious to see what unfolds. All right, we got a 1. Hello, hello. So let's begin with number 1. That's where we're going. I gotta remember the order now. Okay, so ocean jasper is known more so for going with the flow. It's grounding. It's kind of the feeling, if you've ever been to the beach, of just like feeling at peace with yourself, having a moment of reprieve. And it has so many colors, so it's a reconnection. Hello. We have the Queen of Cups. And, yep, I'm supposed to take this oracle deck out. Hold on. I am in the U.S. Where are you at? Where are you from? Spain. Oh. Saludos. Saludos desde España. Oh, okay. So, giraffe. I have like a weird angle today, so. All right, so we have the giraffe, aka Jirafa, and the Queen of Cups. So we're gonna read about the giraffe. The Queen of Cups usually is someone who can be overgiving, sometimes being there for everyone, or having some kind of very caring, very nurturing, but sometimes to the expense of themselves, right? And so being mindful around that, especially during this new moon, is like, have you poured into yourself, right? Have you taken the time to also give? I understand Spanish, so if you want to send messages in Spanish, you may. So Queen of Cups, being mindful of not giving too much. Being mindful of not living at your expense. Sometimes Leo can be too loyal in a way that they're kind of left out in the cold sometimes by the people that they care about, that they love, that they're willing to do whatever for. And I am looking, oh, let me look. You're a kid. Okay, good for you. You should actually not be here if you are under 18. Just letting you know. So let me look at the Queen of Cups for the people who rewatch this. It's because I'm talking to people that are commenting. So Queen of Cups. Queen of Cups says great insight will come from people's actions or motivations. So pay attention also to what people do, not what they say, right? A lot of people talk a good game. Be mindful of the wise as their deeds and actions are powerful lessons in how decisions become easier and trustworthy within the world we live. This is actually really interesting because it's very different from the rest of the decks that I have. A mindful queen holds a book and a cup. You see the book and the cup. As she gives a comforting look, seated in knowledge and understanding. So, tap into your insight, but also be mindful of your overextension. Okay? So let's go to the giraffe. 34. Giraffe. Between the head and the heart, the worldly and otherworldly, walking between worlds. As the tallest mammal, a giraffe lives with its feet planted solidly on the ground and its head up in the clouds, which I think also doubles down on the energy of the Queen of Cups, which gives this creature an interestingly balanced experience between the tangible and the intangible. When the giraffe shows up in our readings, we are being called to find this place of balance and operate from it. How many times have you heard people talk about their head and their heart? That they're at war with one another, for example, or that the heart says one thing and the brain another. Well, the giraffe card asks us to put equal weight in our practical, logical, objective side and our emotional, spiritual, intuitive side. Why not both? There exists an intersection where both aspects of ourselves meet, where they agree and tell us the same thing. take a moment to pause and ask yourself, on which side of the spectrum do you fall right now? Are you approaching something too logically and could benefit from allowing your emotions forward? Or is it the opposite? Which is why I say about being mindful of not over emoting, but just like absorbing or offering comfort without allowing people to do the same, but also figure things out for themselves. So, wherever you are, know that a space exists where we can find peace, balance, and resolution. It is here that your answer is hiding. Further reflection. When we cannot access our intuition, it is often because something in our everyday physical life needs our attention. Perhaps the opposite can also be true. Maybe there's something in our emotional or spiritual life that needs attention when logic seems to escape us. For those who walk the spiritual path, we know those both two worlds are inextricably intertwined. This is how we can walk in two worlds at once, by recognizing that they are one and the same, both hold equal weight. Move toward the space you know you could use a little more right now. And so for this probably new beginning that's coming in, but also for hello, thank you. And just like keeping an eye on this for the rest of the month until eclipse season maybe closes out. But we also are seeing this because the North Node is in Aquarius and it's opposite Leo. So it may be where you're learning about releasing, right? Some of the things that maybe you can't charm your way through, or you can't loyal your way through, or whatever it is, right? So we have about 18 months of the North Nodes being in Aquarius opposite Leo, which is the South Node. And so there might be a longer lesson or learning experience or expansion around dipping into heart and mind and having it be one band, one sound. Right? And so the giraffe kind of gives you that clear direction of like, it can be both. It doesn't have to be either or. And that is card number 1, y'all. I thought I would need more cards, but apparently not. Okay, so we have card number 2, African Bloodstone. And for me, African Bloodstone is a very protective stone, especially around things around the heart. Hello! Hello, hello. Especially around things around the heart. It also calls for grounding and reconnecting to yourself. So I think about African Bloodstone, especially for those who work with altars or spirit teams, of just like kind of grounding into the earthly and the spiritual at the same time. So let's put that there. Okay. And just for you to see it up close is what it looks like. So there's red in there, there's greens, and there's just like some neutralizing energy, which is what I really like about it. All right, it's a celebration because it's the 9 of Swords, but in the reverse. And so with this eclipse season, and I also expand this to like the North Node being in Aquarius, South Node being in Leo, and the Moon being in Leo, I think deeply like this is an ongoing expansion experience. Maybe it's releasing, maybe it's learning how to balance out of just like getting in our own way through our mind. As somebody with Leo placements, the honest truth is, like, we're not always so cheery. Like, there is deep sorrow with somebody who is either performing through their life, right? There is a solitude and isolation and loneliness around performance or playing a role. And maybe it's a season of not living through the expectations that were put upon you, be it if it were like aloud or silent, right? Things that you're like, here, damn, I'll do it my damn self, right? Um, and so it is an end to not feeling confident. It's an end to not being connected. I done zoned out completely. So that is the Nine of Swords, but I will also read it because this deck talks about the cards very differently, and I like that. I like the way that this deck is talking. But having the Nine of Swords in the reverse is very positive to me. And you see that the Bloodstone has red in there, and so does the card. So it's kind of like grounding within yourself and your self-confidence. And me, myself, I like that for y'all. Come on, give me one for card number 2. Okay, we got one. Oh, now you want to talk. Okay. No, all right. So we have the mallard, and I will align this a little bit better. Boom. Hey, cool. So let's see how this deck interprets the Nine of Swords, because it's been really interesting. Nine of Swords. That is so interesting. This is like backwards in my head. Nine of Swords. I'm gonna read it backwards because this don't make sense to me. So it has the upright as continue to strive ahead and check your position regularly as fear and anxiety find ways to stop your forward progress. Do not stop unless needed. You are on a journey through a rough land. Now is not the time to pause at the roadside. These are very different. So the reversed, and this might be, I might need to share it because it's like you're coming out of a space and entering a different one. And so reverse is self-torment and heavy-weighted problems are rooted deep and need to be tackled if there is to be any reprieve. This is also where I would recommend, if you need to seek a therapist or some type of help, do so. Sometimes we can't figure out shit by ourselves. Your fears can become reality if not dealt with in a healthy manner. Keywords: regret, anxiety, fear, dreams. Maybe you need to pay attention to your dreams. Have a dream journal. Write them down. There are dream apps. Internal emotions, agony of mind. So I think more so it's like you're on the home stretch, or you're about to enter that season where you're like, fuck this shit. I'm not dealing with fear. I'm not holding on to the old things. But it might take you some assistance and some help to get there. All right. Let me make sure I haven't missed anyone. Okay. Yeah. So. Oh, crap. Now I see all of the messages. Anyway. Let's find the mallard. Mallard 59. Cardinal. Okay, this is a long one. Mallard, the subconscious, the dream state. Okay, see, we already mentioned the dream state. So, doubling down on this. A mallard is probably what comes to mind when you imagine a duck, as they are found virtually everywhere across the globe. The instant association is an example of how our subconscious mind speaks to us every day, almost like a reflex. Just as the mallard duck glides effortlessly across the surface of water, this card asks us to examine the natural, deeply ingrained patterns in our subconscious mind. Definitely, if you can afford to connect with a therapist or some version of a type of therapy, there are different kinds. There's art therapists, that's what I have. There are, I just found out there are like D&D therapists. Shout out to my homie. And so there are so many different ways of getting assistance. Open Path Collective allows therapists to provide reduced prices per session if you have insurance. Check, like, if you can, group therapy is an option. You may need support. That's all I'm saying. Excuse me. Perhaps the easiest way to examine the subconscious mind is through our dreams. As opaque and sometimes ridiculous as they can be, I'm always Googling, like, what is the meaning of this in a dream, and seeing if it resonates. Dreams continue to be studied deeply by psychologists and spiritual experts. Yes, we do. When we dream, our subconscious is allowed to run free and it feeds us images, symbols, and themes of whatever is buried underneath the surface. The energy of the mallard asks us to examine our dreams. Perhaps you could benefit from keeping a dream journal, I told you, and beginning to explore the meaning behind yours. There's an incredible wealth of information to be harvested through dreams. Our dreams are also one of the main highways through which spirit tries to contact us or connect with us. In the birth chart, so if someone needs an astrology reading, holla at your girl. In the birth chart, the 12th house represents the subconscious mind, among other things. It is a deeply spiritual house, and the only house in the birth chart that never receives light from the sun. It's also where we hide our trauma. It becomes part of our subconscious. Through the 12th house, we can get in touch with spiritual gifts, past lives, and the parts of us that lay just outside of our conscious perception in the subconscious. People who have placements in the 12th house, such as the moon, are often vivid dreamers. If you are a vivid dreamer, it's highly possible that you have something in your birth chart that lives in the 12th house. Find out. And that's just the 12th house. We can go into other things. But overall, it seems like your dreams and your daydreams, right? That in-between space of consciousness or when you zone out, pay attention to all of those signs, any information that you're receiving. It might help assist you with moving out of maybe a hard place that you have been in. Do not give up. You are on the mend. This is also why it felt like I needed another card. The jellyfish. The jellyfish and the friend. I'm going to give you a summary. Okay. So, the jellyfish and the friend. I've never had the friend. So let's go to jellyfish because that came out first. Let's see what we have. Releasing expectation, ease, flow, and instincts. Jellyfish don't have brains. I believe I am correct. So they just go, yeah, they're 95% water, don't have a brain, heart, or bones. Without a central nervous system, they rely solely on sensitive nerve endings at the base of their tentacles. Their lack of resistance to the ocean enables them to navigate their underwater world with ease. Have you considered that needing to be in control or feeling tied to a certain outcome may be holding you back? This is still pile 2, friend. This is still pile 2 because they're like, say more things. Almost done, I promise you. Lastly, friend. Oh, it's a special card. The friend operates outside of us. Yeah, child. Have you ever heard the saying that other people are the mirrors of us? That idea is the essence of this card. The arrival of a friend in a reading may indeed point to an important friend in our lives. Listen, you gotta sometimes sing "You Got a Friend in Me," okay? Somebody that you turn to, whose perspective reflects our most authentic selves back. You may need a second opinion. You may need somebody who won't lie to you, to be like, child, you tripping. Notice the shadow cast by the friend, the literal shadow in here, right? It's like, unlike any of the cards in this deck, it's time to turn to a trusted ally and let them know what you're going through. Don't go through this by yourself. One way to think about this card is also the age-old saying, the antidote is in the poison. Ask yourself, who in your life is your greatest mirror, and what lesson can you learn from them? Think of who you hold most dear and who you absolutely can't stand. Which one is a stronger teacher? You might be surprised by your answer. What I'll add to this just to close out, because boy, it has been long, is that sometimes the things that, like, if you've been feeling envy, if you've been feeling like you're not where you want to be, all of these things, have somebody remind you all of the shit that you've done so far. Sit in it and celebrate that. But also, if you have like a nemesis, or there's just like somebody you can't stand, or whatever it is, people are all reflections of us. Sometimes people are like, I hate insert Gemini, Scorpio, or Virgo here. Those are usually the tops of the people. But whoever it is, whatever sign they are, it's usually a reflection of what you are uncomfortable with within yourself. Unless they're an asshole. But sometimes we are assholes too. And so talk to your honest friend. Get a therapist. You need clarity, and you can't give it to yourself at this moment. And that's fine. Do some art. Talk to somebody. Go on that lady couch. And like sit with the thoughts that you refuse to sit with. There's some gold there that's going to allow you to move forward. Thank you so much. Card number 2. Whew. Let's move on to card number 3. Where is this deck? Actually, I done found a card that don't even belong in this deck. Now I'm curious about this deck. Hold on. So card number 3, we have Unikite. And Unikite, as I look to see if I even have this deck with me. I don't. Hold on. Interesting. Anyway, don't got sidetracked, my bad. Oh, yes, I do. I need whoever was in card 2 to let me give them a reading. My goodness. Because I literally, for those who are with me still, I literally got the fish, and it is in the Dreamscape Oracle deck. Somebody need a reading. If you were interested in card number 2, or you just came from watching card number 2 and it resonated, please contact me. I think you need a mini reading, and it might be a dream reading. I ain't even gonna hold you. Have I ever told y'all I could do those? No. But today we are. Okay. Dios mío. Let's reset. So, card number 3 is Unikite. And Unikite is head and heart connection. And if you were thinking about card number 1, you might want to listen to it because there's something there. But yeah, it's emotional healing, it's heart healing, but it's making peace with like both heart and mind as gently as possible. And we have the Queen of Swords. That's very interesting. I actually am going to read from this book. I gotta show the sword, you know what I'm saying? Let's show the sword. Ow. Okay. Page. Because this deck, the way that they define things is so different. All right, Queen of Swords. See, this makes sense. Honesty, truth, and commitment are strong virtues and avenues that can guide you to your destination. Fair but strict guidance will lead to a proper resolution and a continued positive outcome. I will also say this is the person who is learning boundaries. Sometimes you gotta overcorrect until you're comfortable with expressing your boundaries. Okay, what does that mean? Sometimes you push your boundaries a little too much. Now you're cutting everybody. But it is okay for a season, not forever. Until you can find out what that balance is. Give me one card for card number 3, please. And this is for the new moon eclipse. Okay, you need to, go on ahead and go to card number 1 because I got the giraffe. I ain't gonna read it again. There's some, it's very literal. The head over heart thing is super loud here. Well, the head and heart. You don't have to live in the two extremes. ¿Por qué no los dos? ¿Por qué no los dos? Okay, what the hell is going on, y'all? You hear me shuffling. That's crazy. It got card number 1 and card number 2 here. I have never had that happen to me. Listen, if you were interested in card number 1, it had the giraffe. If you were interested in card number 2, it had the friend. Okay? I am choosing 2 cards since apparently that's what we're doing today. I always start really well, and then we end up doing all kinds of stuff. Okay. Baby, the cards is chatting today. Bueno. The Okapi came out first, so I would suggest you look that animal up. It's kind of funny looking. But it's because it looks like a mix between a zebra and something else. A horse? I don't know. Page 39. Be who you are. That is not the right page. Okapi. 479. So literally at the end. For some of you, you have to watch the whole reading. Oh, okay. Okapi. A fated meeting, event, or situation. The higher meaning behind everything. The Okapi is a unique creature, partially resembling a zebra, but mostly related to the giraffe. I'm gonna need you to go on ahead and listen to number 1. That is indigenous exclusively to the northern part of the Democratic Republic of the Congo. That is also for my hoodoos that are of the Congo. In many ways, the existence of the okapi seems unlikely, and yet an unknowable number of things align to make its existence so. I told you it's a little strange. The presence of the okapi in a reading may speak to something that feels the same, as in alignment, and unknowable number of things align to make its existence so. Something that of fate. Whether in a meeting or situation, to draw the card is a sure sign that something bigger than you is at play. The way things have aligned across time and space to bring you to this moment where everything is falling into place may feel surreal. Moments in our lives where we can see destiny unfolding. Listen, it's not me. In front of our eyes are few and far in between. There is a deep knowing in our bones that recognizes this pleasant twist of fate. And that same knowing asks us to drink in as much as we can stand, because there is some crucial to be harnessed and learned. Keep in mind that when destiny turns the wheel, it may not always feel pleasant. It can be extremely difficult. This too requires a certain trust in the way that things are unfolding. If we don't fully understand why, look to the higher meaning behind this moment. Much is being revealed. Further reflection. What do you believe in that is higher or bigger than yourself? While there's no right or wrong answer, at least not one that we can embrace with unbridled certainty, there are countless options. One metaphor used to define the many dogmas of the divine is that of a bike wheel. Okay. There are many spokes, each representing a different sect of belief, but they all lead to the same center. This isn't a call to define God, but to recognize the divine intelligence that courses through all things, all creatures, all outcomes. And that is literally, it's close to the end of this deck. And this deck is the Oracle of Pluto. All right. Tapir. We in all the exotic animals. I ain't even gonna hold you. Because what is a tapir? I don't remember. I think it looks like an anteater. Don't get me to lying. I need to learn my animals again. 76. These are close to the end. Ooh, something is on its way to you. 76. Feels like major beginnings are happening. There's a couple of endings, maybe some internal things, but tapir, acting in service to others, charity, selflessness. In dreams, a tapir is often linked to gentleness and the need to be kind and compassionate to other people. I'm going to say also to yourself. This is despite its close genetic ties to the rhino, a rather tough animal. The natural disposition of this unique creature is rather shy, although they do live in small social units, especially during their mating years. The appearance of the tapir asks us to consider acts of service as a love language. And the practical steps we can take to show up for others. Depending on your personality, you may or may not already embody these acts as a love language. These tangible displays of love don't always match the conventional idea of romance. But in some ways, they may mean more. Part of being a human being is operating within a community, showing up for others in their time of need. Anyway, it's your turn to show up for those you care about and act in service to your love for them. Maybe someone needs a favor, or the person you live with could use your help accomplishing a task. Ooh, this actually is twofold, but I'm coming. When we are physically present for those we care about, the impact of our actions stays with them much longer than anything else does. Offer your helping hands. Learn about your own love languages is basically the reflection. And love languages, it's not just one. Like, you don't have to just choose one. But maybe revisiting them may help you with requesting some support, some reflection, some acts of service back, right? That also includes spirit. So it sounds like it's just for people, but I think it also includes acts of love. Because love language sometimes it has weird implications. Acts of love as a reciprocal way of nurturing and forming connection. Learn what you need so that you can give, so you can receive it, right? And so you can also know and let people know how to give it to you. But maybe there's some kind of care that your altar may need, or some kind of something that you may want to do for your spirit team that may be fulfilling for the both of you or all of you, you know? Good luck, y'all. I don't know. Please tell me how it goes. I would love to know if this resonated, if any of it made sense. If you looked at the other cards and it also made sense, let me know. Child, because this was a ride. This was a ride today. As chaotic as an eclipse can be. I will see you in the next moon. Please like, share, subscribe, share with a homie, tell a homie. And yeah, I will see you on the next eclipse moon. Thank you.